Hi everybody, Dr. Jensen with CCJ 3701, Research Methods in Criminology. So hopefully you are getting the hang of class, starting to get more comfortable launching your software and opening data and getting more used to things. I received some comments from students that they appreciate the videos that go click by click as to how to go about maybe making changes or running a function. And so I'll continue to try to help you do that. But please reach out again if things are unclear or I go too fast. But again, it's a video, so you have the luxury of pausing or backing up or moving forward if you need to, so you can make adjustments. So we're going to finish Lab 3, Part 2, and take you through some of these questions. So now is the time in the video to pause and make sure you've launched SPSS using apps.ufl.edu and that you open your data that you need for this lab. So just by way of reminder before you do it, once you're in SPSS, read and write, we're going to make changes to the data. Once you're in your data, make sure you go to Common Files R when you're opening the file. Click Courses, CCJ 3701, and then Data, and you'll find the data here, Children's Health 2003. Okay, that's the one you want. So go ahead and open that up and pause the video now and get that done. Resume when you're ready. All right, so here we have the data. Again, one thing I like to do is I like to grab the little tweezer tool and click on the edge of that label column and just expand that a little bit more so I can see more. We use this column a lot in the variable view, so we want to be able to see more information at once. All right, so we are going to continue with our lab. I'm going to pull that up so we can see it a little bit better. We'll make our view a little larger for you. All right, so remember we talked about the first part. Hopefully the lecture videos helped you do that a little bit better. But now we're in the recoding part. So how many variables are in the data set? How many cases or observations are in the data set? That's question 10 and 11. So let's work on that part. All right, so variables. We're in the variable view. An easy way to figure out how many variables there are is you could simply scroll down to the very bottom of the data set where the last row of information is, and you'll see it ends at 301. So that is 301 variables inside the Children's Health data set 2003. Another way to do that is to toggle to the data view. You can see there's these little tabs at the bottom that you can click on. And in the data view, in this upper right corner, you can see it says visible 301 of 301 variables. It will always show you the variables in that right corner. So that's another really easy way to find out how many variables you have to work with here. Okay, so that answers question 10. Let's do number 11. How many cases or observations are there? So remember, in data, a case is the same thing as a record, same thing as row of data, same thing as set of observations. So we use those words interchangeably in stats and mathematics. So just keep in mind we kind of do that so you don't get confused. But let's go to the data view. We're already there. If we scroll down to the very last row of data, it's going to be in the 100,000s. Okay, right here, you'll see that the data end at 102,353. So this is a gigabyte of data that you just opened. It's 102,000 children, 353. Okay, so we have a lot of kids in this data set. That's how many you have. And each of them completed a row of data, which, you know, these columns all represent different questions they were asked, and the little numbers are the codes to the responses that they gave to each question. Same thing would be fields in a database. Okay, same kind of a thing. Okay, so that answers question 11. Now we're going to start working on the recode. So let's scroll down a little bit into the problem. This is a data set about kids, behaviors, and experiences. You're a school resource officer and you want to use this data set to find out if kids who get free lunches also tend to bully other kids. You're trying to see if some teachers' assumptions about the low-income students being bullies are actually true before your research question before the next staff meeting. Your research question would be, how does getting a free lunch impact whether or not a child is a bully and why? Or do bullies tend to get free lunches? Okay, that's what we want to know. So think of it as somebody making some flippant comment like, oh, it's really the low-income kids that are the problem. And you go, is that actually true? Or are they just being kind of snarky? You know, is there any good science or research to back that up? So this is how you could actually go test that, because maybe your team wants to use targeting the low-income challenges part of your strategy, but you don't know if that's actually worth anybody's time. So this could be a way for you to see if it's actually useful to do that. So in question 12, it says, create a new variable named bully that represents whether a child always bullies others. You must find this variable in the data first. Use a 0-1 coding scheme. 1 meaning always bullies, 0 means does not always bully. Write your coding scheme you use to create the variable. Don't forget to label a new variable. So we're going to do a little recode together. Okay, so first we got to find a variable. Okay, so go back in the variable view, put your cursor somewhere in the label column and hit Control F. So we're going to do a find function where we're going to search all the information inside the labels. Let's see if we can find bully. But I'm not going to type the word bully, just B-U-L-L, not B-U-L-L-Y, because we don't know if it's describing a bully, if it asks someone, have you bullied in the last year, or this person bullies. We don't know what tense it is, we don't know the format of the word, but we can just type part of the word, so any instance of the word bull or bully we'll be able to get. So go ahead and hit Find Next. And here we're brought to row 235. Are you concerned a lot, a little, or not at all about being bullied by classmates? So that's an interesting question. However, it does not fit our conceptualization, which we said, this asks a question that says, you know, are you concerned about being bullied? That means you're the victim of bullying or a potential victim. We don't care about the victims. We want the offenders. We want the people that have been the bullies themselves. So this doesn't really get at our concept of when we want to study bullying, what we mean. So we're going to hit Find Next. Okay, we were brought to row 238 that says he or she bullies or is cruel or mean to others. That's more what we have in mind, okay? We want a direct way of saying, are you a bully? Okay, so this is a good question for us. Now, a little reminder, back in time, we talked about survey question wording and what's a good survey question. I don't necessarily love this question because it's kind of triple-barreled. It's asking 3 different things in one question. He or she bullies, is cruel or mean to others, you know, and you got cruel, being mean, being a bully. That's just a lot of stuff going on in one question. It's hard to infer what part of the question someone's responding to. Are they mean? Are they cruel? Are they bully? So it's kind of frustrating, but still many school administrations would want to know the cruelty and the meanness in addition to the bullying. So for purposes of our lab, this will work just fine. But realize when you choose your topic for your final project, you can be picky as to what kind of question you want, what kind of topic you're looking for, and whether that gets at what you're looking for. Or if it's close enough or in the ballpark, it should suffice for what you want to do. So this is where you're kind of shopping for a variable right now, but this will work. So we're going to use this variable. It is S7Q45. You might want to write that down. The variable name is S7Q45. All that means to us is it was in section 7, question 45 in the survey. That's it. It's just the location of where it was in the dumb survey. We don't really care. But we're going to use that later. So when you're done, hit close. And we're actually going to go back to review our recoding, okay? So right here, the steps for recoding. Number 1, decide in advance the purpose. So what's our purpose? We want to make a bully variable that tells us who bullies and who doesn't. We review the variable. We run frequencies, we look at code books, check the value labels, and make our strategy. We're going to do that in a moment. Then we want to define those old and new values from the original variable to the one we're going to make, and type or write up our plan so we kind of have it all planned out before we jump into SPSS and start forgetting stuff. Number 4, implement your plan using the transform menu. So we're actually going to do the coding in SPSS. And then 5, check for errors, run a frequency of our original variable, compare it to the new one, make sure we didn't screw up. So those are just a really quick review of how to recode, which we're about to do. And again, just dummy variables in general. We're going to use a 1-0 coding scheme that represents the presence of something versus the absence of something. So the presence is the response you're interested in, and the 0 is the absence or the response you're going to set aside and kind of compare to. Okay? So again, we're going to let this represent the group that we want to test. So just a little reminder so you can keep track of what we're doing. Okay? So let's take a look at this question. Go ahead and highlight the question, right-click, and ask for descriptive statistics. Remember, there's a lot of ways to do this. You could also use the Analyze menu and hit Analyze up here. Descriptive statistics, frequencies, or descriptives. Ask for the variable you want. You could actually navigate to where it is. Okay, in this case, it's right there. We pop it in the queue, click OK. It's going to produce a frequency. Just like right-clicking on the variable will produce a frequency. So again, multiple ways to get the same stuff. So it just depends on what shortcut you like. Also, one other thing, realize this is the output window. So this is where we get all our stuff. You can use the Analyze menu from inside the output window. It's all the same stuff. So you can use it from the data view or the output window. So let's go to that output and take a look at our frequency that we ran. All right, so right here, it says he or she bullies or is cruel or mean to others. Never, sometimes, usually, always, don't know, refused, not in universe, missing. So this is an interesting little variable. So not in universe means it was excluded from the universe of data. So the people that made the data public and available to analyze for people out in research land, they decided to exclude responses for a certain reason, so they kind of set it aside. That's all not in universe means. Don't know is the person said, I don't know, I refused. Missing data is more than likely a blank or a non-response to the question. Okay, but then we have a whole bunch of other responses, the never, the sometimes, and so forth. So this is information that we want to kind of think about. Do we need to recode this variable? Does it serve the purpose that we're interested in? Well, let's take a look at how it's measured. So remember way back in the day we had nominal, ordinal, and interval ratio as a way of measuring information. So nominal was a category, ordinal was rank order information, and then interval was kind of quantified or numerical information. So if you were to look at this variable and the kind of information it contains, is it nominal, ordinal, or interval ratio? Take a moment to look at it and decide. This variable is ordinal. Okay, so we can rank order these categories. You might have thought it was nominal because it was like categories or answers of things that people were saying, but because it gives us more or less of something, like more or less bullying, it makes it ordinal. People that sometimes bully will bully less than people that usually bully, or people that always bully. So we have more or less bullying going on, higher or lower amounts of bullying. So that lets us order or rank the responses a little bit. So it's actually ordinal in quality. Now that's cute and everything, but we don't really care how often you bully. We just want to know if you do. Okay? And in this case, we only want to know the people that always do it. We don't really care about the people that sometimes do it because we don't even know what that means. What is a sometimes bully? Is it like once a year? We don't know. But the people that always bully, we can feel better about, like, yeah, they consistently bully pretty regularly. Okay, so we're going to change this ordinal variable into a nominal variable, more like a yes-no type of variable, because that's all we really want to use it for. Okay, so we're going to go in here and we're going to make our coding scheme. So our coding scheme is basically, you know, our plan, right? So, oh, this is the heroin one. Sorry. Coding scheme for our bullying variables. Here we go. So I just opened up a Word document to kind of jot my thoughts down and make my plan. I like to kind of label it. This is my bully dummy variable. I'll paste my frequency in there. You don't have to, but then I kind of write my notes of the categories I'm looking at, and then I write my coding scheme, okay? Let me make this a little bit bigger for you so you can see it just a bit better, okay? That did not do much. Let's try that again. All right, so again, this is where we're using kind of this category versus this category. We're going to change those into just kind of this versus that. So we're going to take the never, the sometimes, and the usually, the ones, twos, and threes. We're going to make those zeros in our new variable, okay? So we're changing 1 to 0, 2 to 0, and 3 to 0. On the for category always, we're going to make that a 1 because that's the kind of group that's the bully, the always bullies, and we're interested in those guys. Then the rest of the values, like a 6 and a 7, that was the I don't know and refused response, we're going to make those missing. And then, again, the rest are all system or user missing. They're excluded from the data. We want them to still be treated as missing, so we don't include them in our new variable. But this is basically our coding scheme right here. So if you want to pause, this is the answer to number 12. All right. So we're going to go ahead and stop the video right now, and then we'll go into the recode in just a moment. See you shortly.